Hi everybody. Okay, so I have some time here, so I'm gonna do a couple of videos, and then I think I'll be done for today, but I'll be back at it tomorrow. Okay. I just saw this movie, The Accused, made in 1988. Now I was debating whether or not to do a video on it because it has very mature themes. So, like I always do, whenever I'm pretty sure you have to be 18 or up to watch this because I'm gonna try to not be so graphic, but they're gonna be terms that you shouldn't hear if you're under that age. So be forewarned. Okay. So like I said, the movie was made in 1988 and stars Jodie Foster and Kelly McGinnis and introducing Bernie Colson. Now, I didn't know who everybody was until I watched the movie, so I thought when they said introducing, it usually means they're introducing a kid as an actor or actress. But I think he was around 19 or 20. I may be wrong about that. Okay. So, and Jodie Foster, as you all know, is a very famous actress and producer and filmmaker now. But in 1988, she was still relatively famous because I looked into her life and she started acting very young, at a very young age. So by the time she was 26 in 1988, she had more than a few film credits under her belt. And of course, she went on to do even more films and produce and direct things. Okay, so I'm going to get into a bit of her personal life a little bit. Besides the acting, she went to Yale in 1980, graduated in 1985, summa or magna cum laude. Magna cum laude. That means you have to be really smart. Um, so yeah, and she got a degree in English literature. So okay, um, so she's the star. She plays Sarah Tobias, and Kelly McGinnis Gillis plays the the attorney. So yeah, and also I was gonna add, you might know Kelly McGillis from Top Gun, most notably. She's been in a lot of films also, but you might know that name or the face from that movie. Okay, so to set it up, um, Sarah Tobias is a small town uh, woman who's a waitress, and she doesn't talk um, well. She doesn't have a lot of language. So what I mean is, you put like those things together, and you think that as uh she's not as like hold on, I forgot the word. Um, she's not as a good client for a lawyer because for some reason, when you don't have as much education or people think intelligence, your life isn't as valuable as other people. Valuable. I just forgot the word for a minute because I already had it in my head and then you know. Okay, but so we've seen the storyline over and over again. And I'm not talking about this particular one, but I'm talking about the general trope of if you're a certain class, then you're of lower value to people than if you're a lawyer, doctor, I don't know, teacher, maybe, you know. Um, and my thought is obviously, people shouldn't be judged by their status in life because to give someone a fair assessment, you have to evaluate all the facets of their life and not just what they do, not by their education, not by their job title or anything like that. And the sad part is, even the lawyer character at first was judging her based on her appearance and her language or lack thereof. Because but she does apologize for it later in the film. But she does say, I don't think I could win with you. So at first she cut a deal with the suspects of the crime. And she didn't give Sarah a chance to testify on her own behalf. And Sarah let her know that she was not happy with that. But yeah, I think by the end of the movie, well, not even by the end, but definitely by the end, they come to an understanding that everybody's life is valuable and everybody's story is, it's either credible or not. And it's not based on any external factors. It's based on the truth, which is what a court case should be. And it's kind of funny because I did not plan to watch this because I've been watching Court all the time. It just so happened to come as a suggestion, and I watched it. But I'm glad that I did because, and I'm glad, although for the subject matter, I wish it wasn't that, but I can see why and how Jodie Foster received an Oscar for this movie because she really earned it. Um, okay. And then, of course, the attorney has opposition on her side too, because the main male character says, "You think you can win with this case? It's a losing battle because you either get it and people look at you differently, or you lose and you're known as vindictive. So it's just not a good thing." But yeah. So I mean, they're both separately and together fighting their own battles throughout the movie. Okay, so beyond the physical act that supposedly took place in this movie, there's also the uh, shunning of the town and the psychological impact of having something like that happen to you. And also, um, just so happened that I think one of the people who committed the assault happened to see her in a music store. This was back in the day when they had cassette tapes. Okay. So he just so happened to see her, and I don't think that she forgot who he was, but I do think that she blocked out who it was. So she tried to get away, and he just would not get away from her. So she rammed his truck over and over and over again, of course, causing him to have slight injuries. But I think honestly that's what turned the movie, because if um, Sarah hadn't have hit him with her car, hadn't have hit his car with her car, then the lady lawyer wouldn't have been able to see it from her perspective. I really think that. But okay, So then we have to get to the actual, incident. So what happened is she was at a bar talking with her best friend, Sally, who happened to be a waitress at the bar. And they were talking. And she had a fight with her boyfriend, her live-in, I guess you would say partner these days. I don't know. But a live-in person. Okay. So she went to the bar to blow off some steam. Meanwhile, she was doing having drinks and smoking things. Okay. So they tried to use that as at her disadvantage because they tried to say, well, she was too intoxicated and she brought it on herself because she was dressed provocatively. So, quote unquote, kind of she was asking for it. You've heard the thing, okay? Um, so, uh, so she says something, and that goes against her. But overall, I'm gonna spoiler alert the movie here. So just in case you haven't watched it, uh, she ends up winning at the end of the day. They find them guilty of solicitation of a act. Um, so what that means is they get charged with that crime and they all get to spend 5 years in jail. Okay. But it all hangs on one guy. The guy Bernie Colson, who he saw the whole thing happen, but one of his friends was one of the participants. So he tried to convince the witness not to testify and tried to say pick a side. And luckily for us, meaning the moviegoers, he chose what I think is the correct side. But the reason why I say that Jodie Foster deserved the Oscar is because her portrayal of this woman who went through the ordeal is very subtle, nuanced, and yet you feel everything the character is feeling. And that is very hard to do when you have to emote to a point where your emotions and feelings and everything come through the screen so that the viewer can feel what you're feeling. That is incredible right there. So, yes. Yeah. It's a good movie. I would say it would be a great movie if the topic was different, but I understand why they did it. Because also at the end of the movie, they tell you the statistics of those kind of crimes in those times. So it's very important. So, if you're into, the good guys winning legal drama, this might be the one for you. All right, bye guys.